Yo, so this week we get to start grinding out our new project. So the clip that I decided to go with was actually the one that did not make it into the video that I made last week, but I'll go ahead and play it so that way you know exactly what it is I'm going to be animating.
Hey, would you mind putting that gun away? My wife doesn't care, but I'm a very timid fellow.
The goal right now is to do the phonetic sounds for the voice line. I haven't done that before, so we're just going to see how that goes. I've got an example picture that our mentor gave us that kind of shows like how to approach getting those sounds, and then I'm going to be working on the key posing. So in my reference footage, I tried to kind of find those most emotive poses, and I'm going to go ahead and make the key poses in Maya that match like those frames. The nice part about doing a voice line is I don't have to worry as much about the physicality timing. That was something that really got me in the previous projects. Is I would try to animate from reference, but then the timing and everything looked very bad. It was very smooth and not very animated. I wanted more snappiness. What ends up happening is I have to go through and retime all of the major poses, so it actually ends up looking much different from the reference. However, with this, I kind of have to stick to a specific timing because a lot of the physicality really has to match what's being said and like what emotion I want to get through that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So I got a request to do more footage and add a little bit of voiceover to kind of talk a little bit about what it is that I'm doing while I'm working on this. I got rid of a lot of the early stuff of kind of setting it up. Some of that footage got lost, so I decided to go ahead and start it a little bit further into my process. In the beginning, the first thing that I want to start doing is kind of getting these blocked poses set up. A lot of this is just experimentation. Right now I am getting all of my groups set up so that way I have some selection sets so I can very quickly and easily pick my eyes and my body and my hands without having to go through and manually select everything. Right now I am working on getting the constraint set up, so making sure the constraint is actually working for the cigar will help me a lot later on. That part is something that I'm still learning, but I think I've got a pretty good method right now. I want to make sure that I'll be able to move the cigar independent of the hand so that I can have some more subtle motion with the cigar and the hand working kind of interdependently, which you can't really do with like a regular constraint between the cigar and the wrist. I don't have a lot of experience with editing faces. Kind of getting posing to look right on the face is very tricky. The face has a lot of subtlety to it. You can tell that there's a ton of controls for everything. There's 4 controls for the nose. There's individual controls for all different parts of the lips and the mouth and the tongue and the teeth even. So I have to go through a lot and kind of start really basic. That's kind of what my idea is kind of start basic and focus on the major controls like the corners of the mouth, the lips, the eyelids, the eyebrows. Really just play around with those and see what kind of facial expressions I can get and use the reference as a guide to get the character to express the emotion that I envision them experiencing in that moment in the dialogue. So I'm going back through and checking my reference footage and looking at the key poses that I marked out and trying to kind of match some of that key posing. One of the harder things is the positioning of the arms on the table. As the character moves around, the arms are going to move with the body. So I'm going through and kind of editing where the elbows are sitting at as my point of reference to kind of see if I can get the arms to rest believably on the table as the upper body moves. I definitely foresee this being a big pain point for me in the future. I'm probably going to have to do a lot of frame by frame editing of the positioning of the arms to make sure that they look believable on the table as the character is moving around. There might be an easier way to handle this. Definitely going to be something that I'm going to bring up in one of our sessions to kind of get an idea for what solutions I could have other than going frame by frame and editing every single moment the arm is touching the table to get it to look right. A lot of this is just experimentation and messing around and kind of trying what feels right, what feels like it could be interesting, and setting myself up for additional layering and overlap that I can use in the future. The hardest thing about posing a full character like this is figuring out where I can push the character to have really unique shapes and silhouetting. It's one of the biggest things in animation is figuring out where you push the character, where you make it even more extreme than you would think you should go. Oftentimes, mentors will give a lot of feedback in regards to the posing, and they oftentimes tell you keep going. Push it further than you think you need to, and then let us tell you where to pull things back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week to do some in-betweens.